guys, welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling, because I got to do another video, because another crazy thing happened today. I'm telling you, this wrestling news thing is going crazy, but the wrestling community should be aware, as everybody is kind of losing their minds about right now, is that Ric Flair is yet the latest person leaving WWE, the latest big, huge name. And yes, Flair's retired and etc, 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 but this is another morale buster for WWE's locker room. Before we get into that, I want to let you guys know, especially those of you who are new to my channel, that there are tons of free goodies down in the description box below. You can get free stocks from Webull, free crypto from BlockFi, 30-day free trials of Amazon and Audible, all kinds of goody free stuff down in the description box below. So definitely check that out and get yourself some free swag. So Ric Flair, released from WWE. WWE releasing Ric Flair. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that, man. And this is just after us reeling over the unexpected weekend release of Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotundo. Some interesting little wrestling 6 degrees of separation going on with that. But apparently the news is, and the rumors are right now, because it's not officially confirmed from WWE, but pretty much everybody's pretty much saying this is true. Ric Flair asked for his release because he was a big name that was rumored over the weekend to be asking for a release. It was granted to him. It seems to be an amicable split, once like most of these are nowadays. And Flair, under his Legends contract, is now no longer with WWE. Now, if you saw my video earlier today, I put out one about my speculation as to why WWE is getting rid of all of these big, bulky contracts that are worth God knows how much. And who knows how much money Flair was getting from his Legends contract. Bray Wyatt obviously was getting a lot of money. Braun Strowman, a bunch of other people. They're chopping down the expenses, I should say. $1 million here and $1 million there and $1 million here and $1 million there. So I can't say I'm surprised by that. I don't know if you're a legend right now of WWE, I wouldn't probably. I mean, if Ric Flair's getting let go, I don't know. Now, the reason why Flair asked for his release, nobody really seems to know. Of course, we always have to talk about this. Anytime there's a major release from WWE, the speculation as to whether or not this sports entertainer is going to be heading to All Elite Wrestling. And once again, much like Bray Wyatt, there is some reason to want to see that. AEW has more effectively used Arn Anderson in front of the camera than WWE ever did. They really never seemed to know what to do with Arn Anderson in front of the camera, but his role as being Cody's coach has been very interesting, and some of the subtle things between him and Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard, who came back to wrestling with AEW, is now the J.J. Dillon role in the Pinnacle, which is kind of another kind of offshoot, similar kind of fashion to the Four Horsemen. So you got 2 of the original 4 Horsemen in there. Now, while I don't think Ole Anderson is coming in anytime soon, Ric Flair going to AEW and reuniting would give you 3 of the original 4 Horsemen. But there's another Horseman that I see no reason why AEW, if they wind up with Flair and Anderson and Blanchard, there's one more Horseman from a different incarnation of the Horseman, not the original one, that they probably could take, who has ties to another person who also might be in AEW pretty soon. Barry Windham, who I personally haven't seen most of Barry Windham's career as a fan, which is kind of crazy to think about now, but most of his best work was in his early days in the NWA. He was also part of the US Express with Mike Rotundo. You can see where I'm getting at here. They were in the WWF for most of the time, a brief stint in the AWA, but Rotundo and Barry Windham have someone very big in wrestling in common. His name is Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's real name is Wyndham Rotundo because he is the son of Mike Rotundo, also known as IRS or Michael Wall Street to a lot of old school wrestling fans. And he is the grandson of Blackjack Mulligan, who is the father of Barry Windham, which makes Barry Windham his uncle. So wouldn't it be weird if Flair goes to AEW and there's a Horseman reunion and they bring in Barry Windham, and then Barry Windham's nephew, Bray Wyatt, shows up at AEW the next 3. I mean, the possibilities are crazy. Now, none of this is confirmed. This is just, all of us, where our minds go as soon as somebody gets released from WWE, and then you go, would they be a good fit in AEW, and how would they be a good fit in AEW? Flair, definitely so. Again, as far as the Bray Wyatt stuff, there was a report that JoJo, his partner, had been released or fired quietly behind the scenes. Nobody really picked up on it from WWE, so I don't know what's going on over there. Nobody knows what's happening in Stanford right now. It just looks like they're just shedding so much stuff. Again, the speculation is it might be because they're looking to sell the company. My speculation is also it could be, I'm not guaranteeing this, that the fact that they might not be getting as much money for their TV deals, or they're foreseeing some sort of major decrease in the income that they're getting in next year. We already know one TV deal internationally that they're not getting, which is costing them a significant chunk of money. So who knows? Who knows what the reasons are? We'll probably find out over the next year or so, but it's just a weird time. It's something we never thought we would see, that this would happen in the world of wrestling. It's just very weird to see this, that a WWE, Vince McMahon's still there. He's still alive. True. Well, maybe we should check on that. Is Vince still alive? I don't know. But Vince and Triple H and Stephanie and all those people, they're still running WWE. It's just really weird to see them at a time when you have a company that, whether or not you consider them competition or not before, they're very quickly becoming competition. Their viewership is rapidly approaching your viewership. And to see the WWE just let all of these big names who are needle movers, as far as, they can get people's eyeballs over on AEW. You have old school fans who like Ric Flair, who will just watch to see Ric Flair. You have people who are big fans of Bray Wyatt out of the last generation of WWE superstars who will go and watch AEW to see Bray Wyatt. You have people who want to see CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, obviously, who will probably will definitely be tuning in to see those guys in AEW. I don't know what the plan is. Some people speculate that Vince is letting go of all these people, hoping to kind of bankrupt AEW because he's expecting AEW to just take up all of these contracts and pay all this money out, and maybe that'll kind of burn them out. That's a risky and crazy strategy. I don't know of anybody who would actually do that, but hey, we'll see what goes on. Updated note on the AEW Rampage show, speaking of CM Punk, that is going to be coming from the United Center in Chicago. A lot of people were concerned and they're like, hey man, we don't know if they can sell it out. Well, the tickets went on sale and there's barely any left. They have scooped up almost all the tickets for the show. Now there's a lot of dots when you look at the Ticketmaster place. Those are people who bought tickets and now are reselling them, basically scalpers. And there's a splattering of blue dots, which are actual available seats to the public right now on Ticketmaster. And by the time you see this video, they're probably gone. So yeah, this looks like this is going to be a big show for AEW, and which means they're going to have a bunch of 10, 15, 20, maybe more 20,000 seat shows over the next couple of months. One of the partners in all of this, who are kind of isolated right now out of all this craziness that's going on somewhat, is New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, New Japan has had a couple of things happen over the past week. Of course, Jon Moxley sent that big warning out to, or basically it was a threat, kayfabe, to New Japan. And New Japan responded somewhat, and now at this Resurgence show, which is now becoming must-see TV, the Good Brothers, who recently just won the Impact Tag Team Championships again, will be taking on Jon Moxley and a mystery partner. And now the speculation is starting about who this mystery partner is going to be. Is it somebody big? Is it somebody small? Is it somebody in the New Japan? Is it somebody on New Japan Strong that's probably going to get a rub from them? Is it somebody that's not even on AEW or Impact or in New Japan right now? We have no earthly idea what's going on with this big surprise, and the speculation, I think, for this would be a lot bigger normally if there wasn't all of this other news going on right now. People will be speculating at the wazoo who Jon Moxley's mystery partner is. I can't really think of anybody right now because we don't really know how this Resurgence show is going to go, and you really have a convergence here on this New Japan show of Impact, New Japan, and AEW, because Jay White's, who has been wrestling quite frequently lately on Impact Wrestling, is going to be taking on David Finlay, defending the IWGP Never Openweight Championship. So that's another big match on the show. And Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to be taking on Lance Archer, who's coming back from AEW with an IWGP Championship and making his first appearance on a official New Japan show since he left New Japan to go to AEW. It's too Jesus Christ. This stuff it's all in this web. Right now, talking about what's going on in the pro wrestling world feels like talking about what the Infinity Stones, and well, this one's over here and that one's over there and that one ties into that movie and that movie ties into this movie and this person's making a cameo over here and do it. That's what pro wrestling is like right now. The past week is like so-and-so's here and that one's got that title, this one's got that title, but they're on that show and but I love it. And I love it because it gives stuff for us to engage our brains with. And that is what a lot of wrestling fans have said for a long time. A lot of wrestling fans like the mystery and the intrigue and trying to guess what's coming up next, because there are exciting things that are being promised and you're trying to figure out what they are. And we're also being delivered on these promises. We're also getting these exciting moments coming up. So I don't know what's going on with the Resurgence show. It could be a pretty big show, so I'm definitely going to tune into it. I wish I could go, but I have to be around. I can't leave. I can't travel that weekend, so I got to stay here. I would have loved to have gone to LA to see the show, but yeah, we'll be watching on New Japan World. By the way, check out New Japan World. Go and get a subscription from there. It's only less than about $9 a month, maybe a little bit more than that, a couple pennies right now, given the exchange rate and what the dollar's doing, but yeah, New Japan World, man. There's a lot of great stuff. What New Japan is also doing, too, is that they're highlighting a lot of old matches. Like, recently, they put on Gallows and Anderson's, some of their past matches from New Japan back in the height of the Bullet Club when they were in. Speaking of New Japan over in Japan, even though none of us are really wild about this upcoming match at the MetLife Stadium between Evil and Shingo Takagi for the IWGP Championship, Shingo Takagi is probably kind of voicing what a lot of us are feeling. Uemura and Yota Tsuji have graduated now. They had their last matches as Young Lions in New Japan. They will now be going off on excursion, you would assume. And it was a pretty good show, too, if you haven't caught it yet. So Yota Tsuji took on Tetsuya Naito in a one-on-one match. Naito gave him a nice little adios as he sent the Young Lion off, which is kind of cool because obviously Naito was a Young Lion at one time and he got the send off. And that's another cool thing about New Japan and how they do that whole thing with the Young Lion program. Uemura took on Kazuchika Okada in a match that was a lot better than I thought. And Okada did kind of the same thing that Naito did later on in the card, where Okada was trying to kept egging on Uemura and like, come on, come on, hit me. He's just trying to bring it out of him. And the poise, and I like the way that's shown, how the veterans have the poise as they're sending the Young Lions off to go and learn their trade overseas and then come back as stars. And I don't think it's the last time you've seen these matchups. And next time that Yota Tsuji and Uemura are facing off against guys like Naito and Okada, it's going to be a different story because they're definitely going to be different characters, and I can't wait to see it just given what we saw in these Young Lion matches over the weekend. Los Ingobernables de Japón and Bullet Club are renewing a bit of a faction rivalry right now, mainly because Shingo Takagi will be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Evil in the upcoming next Wrestle Grand Slam show from the MetLife Stadium. And while a lot of us are not wild about this match, and apparently Shingo Takagi is not that impressed with Evil too, he basically punked out Evil and was like, you know what? Nobody likes you. I'm paraphrasing here, but he's pretty much like, nobody likes you. Nobody's impressed with you. You should go back and get on black trunks and go be Young Lion and start over again. I mean, that's pretty brutal. He basically said to Evil, like, your whole process up has completely failed. You need to go start over as a Young Lion and come back in a couple years when you get your crap together, because you ain't impressing me, bruh. And you know what? As a New Japan fan, I think I can speak for a lot of us. A lot of us are not impressed with what's going on with Evil right now. It's one of the baffling things too, because usually you would expect by this point they would have changed it and not put Evil in a main event slot. But Gato, much like a lot of bookers, and we see this in wrestling often, and it happens everywhere, sometimes bookers get very stubborn and they're going to just keep pushing something that they want to push. And New Japan has this too. We see this with Okada and the money clip that nobody ever likes it when he puts on a money clip, but they are just going to keep trying to get that thing over as much as they can. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. And sometimes it works. You know, Jay White, they pushed and pushed and pushed. People weren't believing in him for a long time. And then it's just like you didn't notice it. Jay White came up to the top. I don't think the same thing is going to be with Evil. I think Evil, the way Evil is right now, it's not working. It's not going to work. I don't care how many main events they put him into. Nobody wants to see it. Definitely nobody wants to see him with that championship again. So of all the matches that are coming up, because there's actually a pretty good card stacking up for this Wrestle Grand Slam show, the final one that's coming up at MetLife Stadium. But what I'm really not looking forward to is the main event. The rest of the card, pretty solid. The main event, I don't know. But that's the news for today. Impromptu video that I put together today because there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about that I didn't get to over the weekend. But I want to know what you guys think about these stories. Do you think Ric Flair is going to go to AEW and there's going to be a big reunion? What do you think about AEW selling out? Almost, pretty much, practically, they're going to sell it out. In fact, the report is officially it's sold out. But what do you think about AEW selling out the United Center for the apparent debut of CM Punk on AEW Rampage? And what do you think about Shingo Takagi's comments here that Evil should just basically start over as Young Lion? I love wrestling. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until next time, I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.